Welcome back. Many thanks for staying with us. Now we're going to be talking about a rather discomforting story, so brace yourself for it. Now, between October and December, JoyNews has reported on several rape and defilement cases. Today, we'll do a retrospection of those cases and what has happened on those cases as well. My colleague Masol Agbaba, who has been following these stories, will be joining me in the studio for that conversation. But let's start with a reminder of the latest case. Another 4-year-old defiled by a 30-year-old man. Her father said the incident has left the family shattered. Now, that story of the girl was that she was in her school at Nungua when the 30-year-old man lured her into an empty classroom and inserted his fingers into her genitals. Now, even though the matter has been reported to the Nungua police, they have yet to arrest the suspect. Mind you, the incident happened last Monday. Let's hear the father.
A very pretty girl, you can see, and this is what happened to her. A very promising girl, very intelligent. And
voice of the father of the 4-year-old girl who was defiled. I've met him at his Nungua residence. He holds up a picture of the girl who is a twin. A photo, he says, was taken when the family visited the Rectory Park in Kumasi sometime last year. The little girl is seen very happy in the photo. His father believes the incident has robbed her little girl of her innocence and scarred her for life.
This miscreant will just take her life away just like that. Take her innocence away just like that. So we are hoping that we can be able to bring her back. That we're able to forget this incident and get on as a family.
He has been narrating to me what happened last week Monday when his 4-year-old girl went to school.
Well, last week, Monday, December 18th, my twin daughters, as usual, went to school. Now, we have a young student in JSS1 who is a family friend, and she acts like a big sister, or let me say a guardian over the two little girls. In the afternoon, while school was in session, he saw a strange man with my two little daughters walking away. She ran down from her classroom, went down and told the two little girls to go back to their class, which they did. She then went back to her class to continue her studies. Then after a few minutes, it dawned on her that she should go down again to KG1 and find out if the little girls were in their class. When she ran down, she only saw one of them. She asked the one she saw, "Where is your other sister?" And then my daughter said her sister had gone upstairs. So she ran upstairs again. And then whilst going through the classroom, she heard her crying in one of the classrooms. When she attempted to open, it was locked. So she started banging on the door for a while. And when it was open, it was this same strange man that she had seen earlier on with my two little girls. There, she only spanked the girl and asked her, "Why are you here when class is in session?" Then she dragged her. The girl is only 4 years, 5 months, not even up to 4.5 years, just barely learning how to talk and express herself. So she dragged her back to the class. She didn't report anything to the authorities. She only came home after school and reported what had happened to my wife. And then when she reported what had happened to my wife on that same Monday, my wife tried to touch the little girl there in her private part. Anytime she touched it, the girl started crying. Anytime she tried to touch her private part, the girl started crying. Then she decided to undress her and see what is going on. And there around her clitoris, she saw that the whole place had turned reddish, bloodish. That's when she called the school headmaster to tell him that something had happened in the school that day. And that's when she also informed me that, look at something happened. And that's from there, we arranged.
He says the family is constantly reminded of the ordeal as his daughter won't stop talking about it.
She keeps telling me, she keeps pointing, and that somebody, anytime she sees me, she'll say, "Daddy, somebody put my hand," she'll tell me. Yeah, so another thing was that we should try and get that incident out of her mind. So as much as possible, we don't ask her. But once in a while, she'll tell me, that "Daddy, somebody put the hand," and then she'll tell me. Traumatized. Our Christmas wasn't merry. There was nothing merry in our Christmas. You understand what I'm saying? Your little babies, just less than 4.5 years old, and a 30-year-old man can do this to that little girl, and he's still walking out there a free man.
Walking out there a free man and with the potential of doing same to another girl, maybe your girl. Well, the NGO for Child Rights International, NGO Child Rights International, I must say, has condemned the act. They are urging for swift action by the security authorities. That is Bright up here. He's been speaking to us, but we will also be speaking to Director of Domestic Violence at the Ministry for Gender, Children and Social Protection, Malin Asibi. We'll also speak to a gender advocate who was instrumental in the Asin Adejentem case, if you'd recall. She has also worked at the gender ministry before. But let's remind ourselves of some of the stories that we have done so far. Maxwell Agbagba followed a lot of defilement and rape stories this year. He now joins me in the studio. Maxwell, let's start with a list of some of the stories that we have done. Rape, defilement.
Well, Gifty, sad to say, but I mean, it looks like we've had a lot of the cases happening. Right? Yeah, one too many of them, such that sometimes you even lose counts of the number of stories that you've done on rape and then defilement. But what we started with was with the 4-year-old girl who was defiled at Asin at the DMTM. That obviously has become the reference point and has generated the conversation and has made a lot of people more conscious about, you know, issues of rape and then defilement. We followed up with that story about another girl who was, she is 18, she was raped in Asin Mansung, and then the suspect, the offender in the case, actually hanged her to a rafter in his room. She fell off from the rafter, and the girl is still walking around with bruises of the noose that was tightened around her neck. She still has those bruises around her neck. We followed up again with another case of a girl who was raped who was defiled while sleeping in a room at Kaneshi. Her mother had actually gone out to sell, and then an intruder came inside, went into the room, and then
and I recall on that story that was not the first time the guy had gone into the house. It wasn't
the first time.
She'd actually been raped like twice, I think, according to the mother's narration.
Yeah, and all these, it happened whilst the mother was away and the little girl, was sleeping in her room. We also, I remember we did a story about a girl that was recent, an 18-year-old girl who was raped by her Lebanese boss. That case is still pending before the court. This recent one, quite a number of them that we've done, this year. I mean, just within a short period. We're looking at just October to December, but but what is interesting to note that although we are reporting these cases, we just have to cast our minds to some of the cases that perhaps we are not seeing. Many of them that
these
are going.
Reported cases.
These are reported
cases.
There
are many cases that are not reported. That doesn't catch the eye of the media.
Exactly, and sometimes they don't catch the attention of the media, so they're often swept under the radar.
Right.
Nobody gets to know about them. Right. I mean, if you look at the statistics, for instance, in 2013 we had over 900 cases of just defilement. In 2011 we had more than 1,000 cases of defilement. In 2012, more than 1,000. In 2013, more than 1,000. In 2014, more than 1,000. In 2015, more than 1,000. Let's just do some basic mathematics, Gifty. We have 365 days, in a year. So if from 2011 to 2015, we have, in each of the years that I'm talking about, in 2011, if you have more than 1,000 children being defiled, then it means that at least 3 children are defiled daily from the period 2011 to 2015. And that is seriously alarming.
Right.
Just defilement. We are not even talking about rape.
Right.
So let's first of all watch the video of the story that's become more or less like the reference point, one that generated the conversation, nationally.
Right.
That's that scene at the
right before we play that, right after we play that interview, I'll be speaking to the Director of Domestic Violence at the Ministry for Gender, Children, Social Protection, Madam Asibi. She's on the line, but let's watch this story.
It is early morning here at the St. Francis Xavier Hospital at Asin Fusu. Outside the compound, I've met Monica Nyakon. Monica is the mother of the 4-year-old girl who was defiled. Monica is trying to get her daughter to walk, but she's unable to do so as she cries, a little girl in pain. The girl is unable to stand. She looks very pale with the bandage from the intravenous therapy still on her left hand. Monica Nyakun tells me she had left home for a funeral in the community when the incident happened. She discovered what happened when she decided to bath her daughter.
I was bathing my daughter sometime around 7 p.m. Just when I was about to wash her private parts, she told me not to do it because she was feeling pains there. I asked her what happened, and she said one Kwabena had sex with her in a toilet facility. I asked her where her 8-year-old sister was before the incident happened. She told me Kwabena sent her sister to go and get him coconuts and further warned my daughter not to respond when her sister calls, otherwise he will kill her with a stick. He carried her on his shoulder after the act and dropped my daughter behind our house. My daughter bled for about 3 days. I can show you the diapers we were forced to buy for her, and it is full of blood. She couldn't pass urine, but by God's grace, she has been able to do that now.
All right, so that is a story that started a campaign, a national campaign, and a whole lot of discussions went on. It will bother you to know that over 5,000 cases of defilement have been recorded between the year 2011 and 2015. Let's get on the line now and speak to the director of domestic violence, Madame Meloni Asibi. Ma'am, thank you very much for your time here on the Pulse.
Yeah, thank you.
How would you review the year for you when it comes to dealing with defilement cases and, of course, rape?
Okay. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. And let me use this opportunity to say a Merry Christmas to all Ghanaians out there listening to us now. Well, rape and defilement, as you already put it, from 2011 to, as I speak, I don't have figures right here to back what I want to say because I'm out of office. I'm also out of Accra. But yes, it's become a worrying situation. And it's as if with all the education that has gone on in this country since the establishment of the Ministry of Women and Children's Affairs, the establishment of the Domestic Violence Secretariat, and even the other bodies, CSOs and NGOs, and all other organizations that have always, done something in this direction. It looks as if we still haven't achieved much. Because day in, day out, we hear of these issues. And the most worrying aspect is the very tender ages that are being defiled.
Why do you think you've put in so much, but yes, yet we have nothing to write home about in terms of achievement or in terms of any progress when it comes to dealing or stopping, if not reducing defilement cases?
We have put in so much because I am aware of what even the ministry alone has done in terms of sensitization and other programs that, raise more awareness of these issues. But then, let's not also jump into a conclusion by saying that it is increasing. I am saying this because, when awareness is also raised, then people get to know of where, to run to in terms of these issues. It could be that previously these things were happening even in a more serious numbers that were not reported. But I want to believe that education has gone far now. Awareness has been raised, seriously. But maybe change of attitude is also a factor there. People hear the message but may not change their attitude towards, these these issues we are just
okay, so quick one here is that you did indicate that we should not jump into conclusion to think that it is increasing, that it could actually be reducing. So there is uncertainty around this statement. Is there any?
Not until until we have done some studies.
Right.
To know
so exactly what I was coming to. I want to find out whether the ministry is putting in place any plans for research, scientific research, so that we can know for sure whether we're doing well with the efforts we're making.
Yeah. Thank you very much. For 2016. A research was done. In fact, we are here to do dissemination of that research.
Okay.
I went to the Domestic Violence Secretariat just some few months ago, and I have gone to meet that document. It was supported by UK Aid, and it's a very elaborate, and very comprehensive report that we need to take out there and disseminate.
Okay.
But it was not done before I got there. And it's one of my key areas that I want to do.
Right.
So let stakeholders know what that research findings is all about.
In the coming year, hopefully so. But let me find out from you and draw your attention to, before I let you go, draw your attention to the very latest case of defilements. In Nungua, there's a school there, and a little girl, 4-year-old, has been defiled as well by a 30-year-old, we understand, according to the girl's father. Now, what we know is that they've reported the case to Nungua police, but the gentleman is still walking free. Hopefully not molesting or defiling other girls. Is this a case you're aware of?
Well, no, I haven't heard of that. But I just wanted to also come back to you with a question. When did this happen?
This happened last Monday, right? Last Monday, so on the 18th of December.
Oh no, that is sad to hear. And as I did indicate, I am out of Accra. I'm speaking with you from somewhere else. I'm not in Accra, and I haven't heard of this issue. But whatever it is, it was reported to the police, and
yes.
I would like to take it up and follow up. When I get back to Accra, I think I'll do that follow up, because there are a lot of the cases that we are yet following up on.
Is it possible for you to follow up even from where you are now? Technology makes it quite easy.
Well, if I have the right contacts to find out, I will do that.
That will be the Nungua police. I believe that you may have your branches there in Nungua, or anybody in the district assembly around that area, because they will have a social welfare unit that definitely, or a DOFSO unit that definitely will work with the police.
Okay, I'll find out from the social welfare area of the ministry. Yeah.
Okay. In the coming year, what should we expect of your ministry, seeing that it is still much younger children are being attacked, are being sexually abused by older people?
We are planning to do a more intensive campaign, more intensive sensitization and awareness raising, activities. It's going to run through, and we're going to deal with all sectors of society.
Okay.
Maybe we need to expand the coverage of our stakeholders, those who need to listen to this kind of message, and those who really need to hear the right information. We will broaden our scope and whatever we're going to do. And from next year, I believe we're going to cover a lot, and things will change, hopefully.
Okay.
Things will change, yes.
Okay, we hope for a better 2018. I wish you the best of the season as well, and thank you very much for your time.
I also wish you well, and when I come back, I hope to feature live with Joy TV.
When you come back, we want to see some action taken on the 4-year-old who has just been defiled.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you very much. I've been speaking with Meloni Asibi, I beg your pardon, Meloni Asibi. She is the Director of Domestic Violence at the Ministry for Gender, Children and Social Protection. I almost missed her name. Maxwell is still here. Maxwell.
Yeah, gifting.
Has there been any concrete response, any jail terms for the persons who have been accused in the stories, any of the stories you've followed between October and now?
Well, for some of them, the cases are still pending before the court. For instance, for the Asinada DNTM one, the last updates that we had was that the docket has been transferred to the Aegis office for advice. Okay. And then I'm told that they were in court sometime last Thursday. For the lady in Asen Manso, whose story we're showing next, the lady who was hanged to the rafter, the last time that we checked with the police, the suspect was still on the run. The police are yet to make, any arrest, on that particular case. The Kaneshi rape, we know that case is also still pending, before the court. And then the 18-year-old girl, that was also pending. That's still also pending, before the court. And that really has been the concern of, a lot of people, gender activists, and for people who want to champion the rights of these, innocent girls who have been defiled by some unscrupulous people. Sometimes the wheels of justice, really grind slowly. But would wish that, it would grind faster in the case of, defilement, and then rape.
It should. When there's clear evidence, and I dare get biased with this, that when there is clear evidence, the person has obviously been hurting from the action or from the act of the person who sexually abused them. I think that it's quite clear. But obviously, we also have to impose or repose a lot of confidence in the judicial system and expect that it will rise. But how does that make you feel? I mean, between October and now, you've been covering this quite a lot, and you are a gentleman who has nieces and as well. How does that make you feel?
Well, I'm really saddened by it. I always tell people that, look, I'm a man. I've never been defiled or raped, but I just think about the psychological trauma that these girls would go through. I had an experience. I had an accident on the Accra-Kumasi, road. And then, that
it still plays back in your mind.
When I sit in the car and the vehicle is speeding, doing like 120, I start getting that episode playing in my mind. So if you have children as young as 4 years being subjected to this, this ordeal, obviously it's something that would scar them for life. Some of them would go through marriage, and then even getting closer to what you call it, the opposite sex, would definitely become a problem. So, I mean, it's very important for us to, eradicate this completely, and it's important for us to change our attitude, especially towards issues of rape. I'm excited that the Ministry of Gender and Social Protection recently launched, a standard operating, procedure that the police, would have to go through when such issues are reported to them. In many of the cases that were reported, sometimes we've had cause to, complain about the processes,
what the police
and how the police responded to the issue. I mean, for the scene at the DNTM one, for instance, the crime officer who was working on the story did not report the matter to his superior, and they really did not follow up on the issue until it was brought into the media limelight. So only God knows the number of cases that have been swept under the carpet because the parents did not develop the right mental fortitude to follow up with these issues. So as a people, as a people, it's important for us to change our attitude. I mean, in 2012, we all saw what happened in India, and that brought into the limelight talks about the rape culture that was, that was rife in India. Now that girl's case has now become a talking point. Now a lot of people are referencing it, and then India, they are putting in efforts to also change the attitude of people towards rape. So definitely we need to do that as a people here in Ghana as well.
Well, I don't know, if you are there and you look at any 4-year-old girl and you feel attracted to them, you are sick. Please seek help. If you see any young girl that's, can't give you their consent for you to have any sexual relations with them, and you feel like getting that close to them, please, it is sickness. Look for a cure for it. Maxwell, I must say very thanks to you, and I wish you all the best in the coming year. Hopefully you will be covering more positive stories rather than stories of children being sexually abused. And my heart goes out to all these children. I can't stand looking at you and looking at the pain you're going through, but I trust that God will see you through.